Well, I think this movement has already had a huge impact. I mean, every indicator was pointing towards this just being a rubber stamp yes. We know that's what they were intending to do. The State Department's first environmental assessment report was nothing but a rubber stamp, didn't deal with climate change. It was filled with errors. There was tons of cronyism that led up to it. And so we've already massively slowed down this project. We have spooked the industry in a major way. My government, the Canadian government, is completely freaked out about how they're going to get the oil out of Alberta. Alberta's landlocked. So all of it, cumulatively, the arrests, the first wave of arrests, the direct action, and this movement wasn't born just 2 years ago. This is a movement that's been building now for many years. It was really led by Indigenous people in Canada who live downstream from the tar sands and have dealt with having their water and land poisoned by this massive industrial project. So yeah, it's had an impact, and I think it's going to continue to have an impact in just making it harder and harder for them to do what they want to do, which is just rubber stamp this project and also not deal with the climate implications of the project. I mean, this has been a really big issue from the beginning, is just treating this as if it's only about the routing of the pipeline and if you can make the pipeline safe. The message we've been trying to get across is even if this is the safest pipeline in world history and that oil goes exactly where it's supposed to go without any spills, and that's a massive if, because these pipelines spill, that's one thing we know, then that's still a disaster, because when that oil gets burned, it accumulates, the carbon accumulates in the atmosphere, it pushes us further away from safe levels. We're already over 350, so it's a disaster anyway you slice it. He has had this idea that you can have an all of the above energy policy, and it's just not true. It has no relationship with science. What scientists are telling us is that if we are to stay below 2 degrees, and right now it's important to understand that we are heading towards between 4 and 6 degrees warming, and that's Celsius. So that's a lot of warming. And Kevin Anderson, a great climate scientist in the UK, said that 4 degrees is incompatible with organized life on this planet. That's where we're headed. So you can't have an all of the above energy policy. If you want to stay below 2 degrees, you need to start cutting your emissions by between 5 and 10% a year now, which means you have to go away from fossil fuels. You don't have whole new sources of fossil fuels, unlock whole new sources of fossil fuels, whether it's the tar sands or whether it's massive new gas fields. You get away from that and you develop new alternative clean forms of energy. And this is the point we're at right now. We need to make the U-turn away from these dirty energy sources. I mean, I think there's a huge amount of complicity in the way the media has first ignored this issue. I think that's been more damaging than giving a platform to the climate deniers. The biggest issue is just the fact that we collectively are facing the greatest crisis humanity has ever faced, and our media in no way reflects this reality. There's no sense of urgency in the face of the heat waves, the droughts, the storms. They're treated as isolated incidents. They don't connect the dots. And so people are feeling that urgency on their own, but they don't have it reflected back at them through their media, so they start to wonder if they're crazy.